Welcome everyone to the 5th class of the Azon 30-Day Challenge. Now for today's final class, of the Azon 30-Day Challenge, we are going to be discussing maintenance and a little bit of marketing for our site as well. Now, the primary objective of this series, obviously, is to teach you guys how to build Amazon sites like I do. But another aspect of that is kind of the overall game plan that I have with building these sites. And I'm really talking about more than just one site here. I'm talking more about the grand scheme of trying to earn a decent income as an Amazon affiliate. There are a lot of ways that you can really spend your work time. You can constantly be building new sites, or you could honestly just build one site and continually put work into the marketing of that site. Overall, my goal is really to focus more on the actual site building and not spending a lot of time on actually marketing the site. But there are some instances where I will put time into the marketing of one of these Amazon sites. So I want to talk to you about how I actually revisit my Amazon sites a month, 6 months, even a year down the road to analyze the traffic and Amazon data that I have for these sites, how I can then use this information to make effective updates to my Amazon sites, and then ultimately how I am figuring out whether or not to put marketing work into one of these sites, or whether I should just continue on building additional websites. So with that said, the first thing I want to talk about today is analyzing your traffic data. Now, since my site is a fairly new website, I don't have a lot of traffic information to go on at this point. So I'm actually going to be showing you guys data from another Amazon site of mine. But this same type of information will apply to any given site that you build. There's kind of three things that I focus on dealing with analyzing my traffic data for one of these websites. The first one is the geolocations of my visitors. The second one is behavior flow, which is what people are actually doing on my website. The pages that they visit, the pages that they enter my website on, and the pages that they leave my website on. And finally, search analytics. What's going on with search engines? Where is my website ranking? What keywords is it ranking for? And what pages are people landing on my website after they are searching for these different keyword phrases? I'm initially looking at this information to try to help me make better decisions with what I should do on my actual website. Should I leave it as it is? Should I go into particular pages and add or remove content? Should I build completely new pages on the website? Now I want to go and actually show you this stuff in person here. So I'm going to pull up Google Analytics for you for one of my Amazon sites. This site is actually from Azon Masterclass 1. This is downcomforterguide.com. Over the course of a month, it gets about 6,500 page views and about 2,000 or so unique visitors. So the site does pretty good overall, but no matter how good or bad a site is doing, there's really always going to be more that you could probably be doing to it. It's just a question of whether it's going to be worth your time to actually do that work on the site, to make improvements to it, or whether your time would be better spent just simply building another site. Obviously, in this current state, this site gets plenty of traffic and it refers Amazon sales. So left alone, it's still a successful website. The question is whether it's worth my effort to actually go back into this site to make some additional changes to it or not. Now, one of the first things that I like to look at are the locations of my visitors, where people actually live that are actually visiting my website. To find this information, I go into Audience, Geo, and Location, and this is going to give me a breakdown of the traffic for my website. Now you get a little graphical display up above where the darker colored countries are going to be the countries where you have more traffic from. And then as the colors get lighter, you have less traffic from those countries. Now, as an Amazon affiliate, the reason why this page should be important to you is because your ability to refer sales on Amazon.com products may be limited to specific countries. There are also additional Amazon websites. Amazon Canada, Amazon UK, for example, tons of European, a couple of Asian ones as well that are available. So when you have visitors that are coming from additional countries besides the US, it might be worthwhile to try to target them. How you would actually go about doing this is in my product style plugin. If you go to the settings page of this plugin, you're going to see all these different Amazon sites that are listed, and the countries that are out next to them are my recommended countries for the ones that should actually be targeted to this particular Amazon site. Certain products on certain Amazon sites are going to be strictly limited to the countries that are in this list, whereas there are other products that can be shipped out of the country, but in a lot of cases it's more expensive for the consumer to actually buy that product and to get it shipped to them. So targeting the relevant Amazon website for your visitors can go a long way there. So just as an example, if I look at the data for my site, I see that Canada ranks with about 9% of my overall traffic. Other countries that are ranking fairly high, Russia's got about 6%, and the UK has about 4.5%. Now, these are the number of people essentially visiting my site on a monthly basis from these additional countries. So if I wanted to go in and enable one of these countries in product style, I would simply set up an Amazon affiliate account for those additional websites, provide my affiliate information in here, so I could put in my Amazon Canada information and my Amazon UK information right here, and then activate these sites by changing the drop-down box. Now, even though I have some traffic from some of these other countries that actually show up on this list, like Germany right here. I do have Germany traffic, and I also have something like a little bit of Italy traffic, which is also an Amazon site. But personally, from the list that I'm seeing here, I really wouldn't want to go through the trouble of activating anything more than Canada and UK, simply because 29 people visiting my site every month from Germany, that's not a lot of people. That's only one person per day on average. And the chances of that one person per day actually buying something is pretty slim. So the effort that it takes to get this additional account set up for Amazon Germany and to then actually verify that your products are working in those different locales. That's the extra effort that you need to make sure is actually worth your time to do. So target your more popular countries once you have some traffic data and just ignore the other ones. Let all them get targeted to Amazon.com, which is what will happen by default. So if I was going to add in Amazon Canada and Amazon UK, once I provide my affiliate information here, I would then save this information, go down below here where it says admin country override, enable the admin country testing, and then set my Amazon site to one of the new sites that I had just selected. Once you save those changes, simply revisit your live website and test all of the Amazon ads on your site to make sure that they land on a functioning Amazon page. Some niches will work in this manner, where when I switch it to Amazon Canada or Amazon UK, I would still end up with the same product on those locales under the same ASIN. But there are going to be some niches where this will not work at all. So unless you have an overwhelming amount of traffic, and I don't even consider Canada here to be an overwhelming amount of traffic. It's only 9% of my total traffic. This 9%, I'd really want it to be more like 20 or 30% to actually put the time into setting up those additional locales if those products were not working correctly. So if I put in Amazon Canada, I go down here and I test Amazon Canada, then I go to my live website, try out all of my Amazon links. If they're working, that's great. I can leave it alone. If they're not working though, if it's simply saying that a product can't be found for some of those links, then I would want to disable it and actually not worry about that locale. The only exception to that, again, being if I had a large percentage of traffic that was coming from that country. Then what you can actually do is go into your ads page here, edit one of your advertisements, and you can specify an alternate product. However, you would still need to set up your ads for that product. So, for example, I would come to the Auto Amazon page. I change my Amazon site to one of the other sites that I have activated. So I would change this to Canada. I would find a replacement product for the one that wasn't working, create an ad for it, then go back into the ads section and you can edit the ad that wasn't working. All the way down at the bottom, you have advanced country control. So I could go to Canada here and I could find a different product that I created an ad for on my site. So I create an ad for a Canada product now and set that as the replacement for that country. Again, this is something you would only have to do if you tried testing the links on your site in another locale and those links did not work. Then you would have to find a replacement product. So you can see how this manual searching and finding a replacement product for potentially all the different things that you're promoting on your site, you can see how this would be fairly time consuming to do if you actually had to do the manual search and replace. So again, that is why I would only worry about doing this on countries where you have a decent amount of traffic present for them. Now, beyond making sure that I'm actually targeting ads to the people that are visiting my site, one of the other things that I worry about is what people are actually doing on my website. To find that out, I go down to behavior. And there's actually a couple of different areas here where you can look at data having to do with what people are actually taking action on your website. One of them is the behavior flow page. Under behavior, go to behavior flow, and you reach a page like you see here. Well, up in the top, you have this drop-down box with different aspects that you can essentially use to show you information here. One of the ones that I like to use the most is the landing page. This shows you where people come into your website at, and then the path that they actually take through various pages of your site. So for example, my IKEA page on this Down Comforter website is my most popular page. If I click on this, I can go to view only this segment, and it'll drop everything else and just show me what is happening when people show up on my IKEA page. So this can be really, really useful to you as an Amazon affiliate because of the way you have your website set up. You might be wanting traffic to proceed from one page to another page on your website. The best example of this would be your informational content pages, the pages where you're more likely to get search rankings on those pages. So that's where your traffic would enter your website at. But then to actually earn a commission, you would need people to go from that info content page to your product page of your site, and then to proceed from the product page out to the Amazon link. So this whole landing page and behavior flow area, you can go in and examine your info pages and find out how many people are actually making it along to your next step, which would be your product page. For this particular site though, my landing page actually is my product page. So I'm not trying to really send people along from this page to another page of my site. You can see that out of 1,400 people or so that land on that page, I really only get about 38 people that then proceed on to another page of my website. But in this case, I'm okay with that because this is one of the pages that I want people to get to. I want them to be clicking on one of my Amazon ads on this IKEA page. So to see a natural large amount of drop-offs from this transition is actually what I want to be seeing on this page. But if I was looking at one of my info pages, I would want that traffic, a lot of it, to be making it onto my product page to give me a potential for making those sales. If you find that a lot of your informational content pages lose their traffic and are not able to send that traffic along to one of your product pages, this can tell you the exact pages that is occurring on, and then you can go and revisit those pages on your website and try to figure out why. Maybe the link isn't easily seen. Maybe the text that you're using on the link isn't appealing enough to make people want to click on it. You might simply need to put these links in a more prevalent position where they can be more easily seen to make it more natural for people to want to proceed on to the next page. This is something that you kind of have to diagnose and fix on a case-by-case basis, though. There's no set rules really that I can give you for trying to correct pages like this when you see an obvious drop-off of traffic that you don't want to be happening. However, simply having access to this data makes you aware of what is going on your site, and then you can focus your energy on fixing the problems and not worrying about the things that are working correct on your site. Now, in addition to the behavior flow, I also have this site content area where I have landing pages, exit pages, and all pages. Any three of these sections are also good areas to look at. The all pages section, for example, tells me what my most popular pages are on my entire website. So I can see immediately IKEA is definitely the #1 page on my site. My home page is the #2. Buying guide is #3, and so on and so forth. By knowing what your more popular pages are on your site, you again know where to put your focus and your effort on. It really wouldn't be worthwhile for me if I extend this list here and show my least popular pages. These are searches. These are not actually pages. This right here would be my least popular page. My hypoallergenic page had 10 views and I think 4 unique page views here over the course of the last month. So I would not want to put a lot of effort and focus into building up this particular page because it's obviously not performing very well. Sure, I could try to build it up and I could try to get it ranking to make it perform better, but chances are the work that I would have to put in to making that page actually perform well would likely outweigh the benefits that come from it. However, if you're targeting your more popular pages of your site, especially if this traffic is coming in from a search engine, by making minor additions and changes to some of these pages, you can actually have a pretty drastic increase in traffic. This IKEA page did not always get thousands of page views every month. This is something that I identified as one of the more powerful pages of this website, and I have built it up to enhance the traffic that I am getting to. So I'm now getting search traffic from tons of different keyword phrases, all pointing back to just this one IKEA page. And again, this was all done after the fact of building the website and not in my first initial construction run. Now the landing and the exit pages areas here. This can be helpful to tell you where people are entering your site and again where people are leaving your website at to make sure that your site is functioning as it is intended to. For example, if I look at my exit pages here, what I would be looking for on this exit pages list is an info page on my site that is not succeeding in transferring a decent amount of traffic along to my product pages. So for example, right here, I see Fill Power. Fill Power is another one of my info pages on my site. Out of all the info pages on my site, it has the most exit traffic. It has 100 people that are leaving that page each month and not proceeding on to additional pages of my site, which are going to be my product pages. So if there was an info page that I wanted to investigate and try to make sure that it was actually working as intended, maybe figure out where the links are on that page, change around their positions, make them a little more visible, I should be able to reduce my number of exits on this info page and get more of this traffic moving along to my product pages. Now, this also kind of connects to the next part that I want to talk about, which is your search engine optimization. Under acquisition, you have this search engine optimization dropdown along with a couple different links to go along with it. The queries and the landing pages are the two that I pay attention to the most. On the queries page here, I get to find out what keywords are actually being used on Google to find my page. But in addition to showing me the people that are successfully reaching my page, I also get an indication of people that are not successfully reaching my page, where somebody goes to Google, they type in a search term, my page is in the search results that people are seeing, but they're not clicking on my listing. They're clicking on other listings that are in those 10 results instead. This is really, really important because if you're already getting a search ranking, but you're not getting clicks from it, chances are all you really have to do is make a couple of text adjustments to maybe the title of the page or the description of the page. And you can easily then attract some of that traffic to start clicking on your search result. So this queries page not only tells you where your traffic is coming from, but it also tells you where your traffic is not coming from, so you can try to take steps to actually start getting traffic from those locations. For example here, this is a fairly new one that has shown up for my site. It is showing me as having an average ranking of 9.3. So this will be on the first page for the term twin size mattress. It says I'm getting 700 impressions a month from that search term. So 700 times a month, my website and this page is showing up on this search ranking, but nobody's actually clicking on it. So this would definitely be a page that I would want to go and investigate. Change the title, look at my description in the SEO settings box, your meta description. This information can be what people are seeing on Google. It can also be helpful to go to Google itself and to try to find your search listing to see what people actually see for that search result, so you know exactly what you need to try to change to make it say something different, to make it more enticing for people to click on. My main recommendation with using this queries page is to again figure out what the more popular pages of your website are, both in current traffic and also in potential traffic. So my current traffic would be where I'm actually getting clicks from, and then my potential traffic being impressions, where my ranking, my listing is actually showing, but people are not clicking on it. One other thing to point out here, you have this secondary dimension dropdown. There's a lot of different areas of Google Analytics that actually offer more data than it might initially be displaying to you. And a lot of times you'll see it in this format of primary and secondary dimensions. This actually allows you to set different data, I guess, to be shown to you on these pages. And one of these, the Google property for the secondary dimension, is something that I find to be pretty important to use, because otherwise these queries can actually end up being a little on the confusing side. What I mean by that is Google property. When I see web, this tells me this is the normal Google search. But there are other Google properties that you can have a ranking for. You can rank under video search and image search and things of that nature. So if you see the Google property listed as image here, the query that you're ranking for is not on normal Google search. It's actually on Google image search. So this property can be really important. A lot of times you will see if you're ranking on Google image, you're going to have a large number of impressions compared to your clicks. And that's actually natural because you have to think about what the Google image search page is really like. You're seeing a lot more than just 10 images at the same time when you're viewing that. So naturally, the click-through rates per image will be lower on images compared with the web results. But it's important to know what you're actually ranking for to actually be able to make adjustments to it. If this twin size mattress ranking had been on an image, there wouldn't be any point to going to this page and changing the title and the description of the page because it's not going to help me with an image search. So it's really important, in my opinion, to know exactly where this data is coming from, and this secondary dimension set to the Google property can give you that exact information that you need. Now the landing page under the search engine optimization section is also another important page. This is basically where people are ending up on your website after searching for something on Google. This could be web searches, it could be image searches. Again, this is kind of all getting combined into one set of data. But what should be important to you here is that you again get indicated which pages of your site are more popular than others. So I can see at a quick glance here that, again, my IKEA page is one of my more popular pages of my site. However, I think it's worth pointing out that Google isn't perfect with this data. If I look at this sizes page, for example, it shows me as having an overwhelming number of impressions. I'm getting almost 3 times as many impressions. This is referring to search engine impressions as the IKEA page is receiving. And it says I'm getting a lot of clicks. It says I'm getting 1,000 clicks to that page in a period of a month. However, if I look at my site content over here, it's telling me my sizes page is actually getting much, much less than that. It's only showing up as 82, whereas IKEA is saying that it's getting the proper amount of traffic based on here. Sorry about that. Now, when you're going through these different pages and this data, you should again be focusing on which ones are going to be the most beneficial for you to alter here. Because I could obviously go through and try to make enhancements to all of these different pages on my site, but these couple of pages that are listed up at the top are going to be the most beneficial for me to do that. I can see that my IKEA page, for example, already performs extremely well. my click-through rate over here indicates that I'm getting a lot of the traffic off of Google when people are actually seeing my listing, compared with some of my other pages that are more like 3 or 4%. These lower click-through ratio pages would be the pages where I would want to go and look into them a little bit more to figure out what can I do to boost those click-through rates up more? What could I do to increase my search engine rankings that are already present on those pages to make them a little bit better? A lot of times for this page, for example, my Pins on Pyrenees page, I'm getting a decent amount of impressions, but I'm not getting a lot of clicks on it. However, I can see over here as my average position that I'm not ranking on average on the first page for this search term. I'm actually down on around page 3. So this is important for me to know because this tells me the potential for these pages. Let me compare that to the one down below here, where I have an average position of 78. If I were to go and make content additions to these two pages right here, it's going to take a lot more effort to get this average ranking of 78 increased high enough to give me a lot of exposure, to get me onto the top 10 rankings, for example, than it would for this other page, because I'm a lot closer already with this page than I am with the one down below. So the average position, and this is something that also applies to the queries page here, seeing the average positions. Whenever you're not ranking in the top 10 for something, but you're not far off from it either, simply going to the pages and adding more relational content to those pages can give you a little boost to bump you up in the search rankings. So this tells me where the most improvement could potentially come from with my existing rankings and the existing traffic that is out there. Now, beyond my traffic analyzing, I also analyze data that is coming from Amazon. I find this to be really important because it gives you access to some information that you would ordinarily not be able to obtain. Once you know that you're getting traffic to your website and that the traffic is reaching the pages that you want them to be reaching, and you also know that those visitors can actually purchase the product from that Amazon site that you're advertising. So again, you kind of can confirm all of that based on the traffic data that we were just going over. Once you know the traffic is getting where you want it to, the only other thing that could possibly be holding you back from converting that traffic into sales are the actual Amazon products that you're promoting. So it's good to know how they're performing as well as the traffic side of bringing people into your site and getting them to the right place. Now we want to make sure that that traffic is actually doing what we want it to do as far as being on Amazon, buying the products that we recommend, or even going on and buying something relational. That's one thing that I think a lot of people may not initially understand about Amazon. It's not always about getting them to buy the product that you're promoting. The ultimate goal is simply to get them to buy something through your affiliate link. And if you can send them on to Amazon, get your affiliate cookie on them, and they buy a product, you get credit for it whether you were actually promoting that product or not. But it can be good to know what people decide to buy if they're not buying the products that you're promoting. Maybe you should be promoting those products instead, or at least trying to incorporate some of the more popular ones into your website. We can figure all this out based on the data that we're getting off of Amazon. Now I want to show you this actually in person as well, so I can explain a couple of more specifics about all of this to you. Now, the first thing here, before I go into this, view orders report. If you're looking up on your Amazon affiliate account and you look in the top right hand corner where you have your little earnings box, there's a link there called View Full Report. That's what you're looking to click on. This gets you to the orders report section of Amazon, which is where we're going to be doing everything in today's lesson having to do with Amazon Analytics. So once you are to this page, you have a number of different reports that you can actually choose from. The first one I want to take a look at here, though, is the orders report. So if under order summary on your main page, you click on the View Full Report link, you will arrive to this page here. If you don't get to the correct one, you can always change this up top to orders report to make sure you're reaching the correct place. Now this obviously is going to give you a printout of the products that have been ordered on Amazon. However, I think it's important, at least initially when you're starting up your site, to have separate tracking IDs for each website. This way you can actually come here to Amazon and find out what's going on with each of your individual sites instead of just seeing all the traffic and data as a whole. So if you don't already have your own tracking ID for the site that you're working on, you can just go to Manage right here by Tracking ID and you can create a new one of them. So I have my Down Comforter Guide site running on its own tracking ID, so I can actually analyze the data and the sales information that is coming from this specific website and exclude all of my other stuff from it, so it won't confuse and mess up my data. You really can't get a clear picture of what's going on unless you're tracking these sites on a one-by-one basis. Now, you don't necessarily have to do this forever. You might reach a point where your website feels pretty dialed in and you're getting lots of traffic and you're referring regular sales on it. You don't feel like you might have to make changes to it. You can then essentially incorporate that site back onto your main affiliate ID if you want to. This may not be as important initially, but they do have a limit on how many tracking IDs you can create. So you can't necessarily create one for every single one of your websites if you plan on building a decent number of them. Now, also when you're on this page, this little combined reports checkbox is really important. You want to make sure this is not checked, or else the information you get here is not going to be just for that tracking ID that you're going after. So with that said, when you're looking at your orders report summary here, I really recommend analyzing more than 1 month worth of data at a time. Sure, it can be good to see what your site is able to do in a single month period. However, if you just use 1 month worth of Amazon data and try to use that to make changes to your actual website, they may not be accurate in terms of whether a product is performing well or not. Depending on how much traffic you get to your site and how much traffic you get to specific pages on your site, it may take more than a month for a specific page on your site to refer a sale. So if it takes 2 or 3 months for one of your less popular pages to refer a sale, if you were just looking at Amazon data on a monthly basis, one of the months that it wasn't referring that sale, it might appear to be performing pretty poorly. But when you look at it with more data behind it, you really start to get a clear picture of what's actually happening. If you need to change the reporting time period, all that is done right up here at the top. Exact period, you also have pre-selected periods, but you can't really view more than about 3 months at a time through one of these quick drop downs. So I'll usually just change my exact period to maybe show me the last year or so worth of data from my site. And I'll use this information as a more grand scale view of what's actually going on. Now, you obviously get a report of all the different products that have been ordered off of your site. So you can see right here, all these are products that have been ordered off of just this one specific website. Something though that a lot of people may not realize is there, all the way at the bottom, if you look where it says items with no orders, you can actually expand this drop-down box right here by clicking on this arrow. And this is going to show you, here we go, items with no orders. This is going to show you all of the products that you've been promoting and the clicks that those links have been getting. But these are the products that have not successfully referred a sale during that reporting time period. However, something that's really important to understand here is that Amazon is not always perfect with this reporting data. Sometimes you'll actually find a product listed down here and it'll have clicks on it, but up above it might still be showing that you've been referring some sales on them. For example, I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that I've referred sales in the last year on some of these Penzon products or Pacific Coast comforters or even the IKEA comforters. But it could be a difference of variations of the product that I'm promoting. For example, if I were promoting this particular product, no, this one doesn't apply. That one, for example, though, that's actually another good example to use. Right here, you can see that this product is out of stock. And yet, over the last year, I've sent 147 clicks to it. So I would probably want to go in and actually remove this product from my website, especially if I can't figure out on Amazon that it's been in stock anytime recently. If you look over here at your most recent customer reviews on a product on Amazon, you can sometimes get an indication as to whether or not this product was in stock anytime recently by seeing if there was any kind of a recent review on it. Here, this review was published 5 days ago. So it's at least feasible to assume that maybe during the past 2 to 4 weeks is when this product was purchased that was just reviewed 5 days ago. So sometimes you can use the review information to indicate whether or not that product will be back in stock soon based on whether it was in stock not very long ago. It's no guarantee, but sometimes this information will at least clue you in as to the activity level of a product. Beyond products, though, that are no longer available or are out of stock or something like that. This information can be really helpful to help you figure out the products that are working well and the ones that maybe they're performing okay, but maybe they're not doing as good as other products. So you can give preferential treatment to the products that are doing better. You can make those pages appear higher up on the list. You can make the advertisements higher up the page or in a more prevalent position. For the case of my IKEA page that all of these are coming from, I actually have, I want to say 6 different IKEA comforter ads all on this one particular page. So I can look at the ones that I know for sure are actually converting. I can see that I'm definitely getting sales on these IKEA comforters, whereas the ones down below here, I'm not getting sales on these. So I may simply want to remove these from the ones that I'm promoting and let people focus instead on the products that are working out for me successfully. Now, in addition to looking at which products are selling and which ones are not, you can also figure out which ones perform better based on conversion rates and stuff like that. But really, when you see these conversion rates listed over here in this left-hand column, don't put too much faith in these actual numbers. I really pay more attention to what's going on in this right-hand column over here. These are the actual numbers of products that I have been selling. The conversion rate, though, is just based on this number here. You can see these are items ordered through product links, and these are all other items ordered. Well, it's only showing 3 of these 6 comforters as being ordered through my actual product link. But I'm definitely promoting this product, and I'm sending traffic to Amazon. Chances are, though, I sent somebody to Amazon, they did buy that product, but maybe they didn't buy it immediately. Maybe they went through and viewed some other products. Maybe they even clicked on other affiliate links on my website before finally deciding to buy that particular product. That's kind of where, as far as I've been able to tell, where this discrepancy comes from for products that you know you're actually promoting, and all of these should be ordered through your product link. So I still would give yourself credit for referring this number of sales and not the lower number here that's in this middle column. But these click-through or these conversion rates over here are going to relate to this middle column and not to your outside column here. That's why you have all of these products saying NA, even though you have sales on them. Now, in addition to using this information to figure out which products are performing well on your site, which ones are not performing well, which ones might need to be put in a more prevalent position or maybe just removed entirely if it's not performing correctly. I also use this data for another purpose. Up in the report type, we have link type report. The link type report isn't going to give you per product information. It's going to give you information based on the actual kinds of links that you are using. For example, on this site, I have most of my links being just the basic display. But there are all other kinds of links that you can use on Amazon. Banner links. You even have stuff like a store, Publisher Studio links. One important part though, if you happen to be using one of my plugins, Azon, or if you are also using the shopping cart features built into product style, then you would actually end up with this kind of a link down here, these product advertising API links. Things like your remote shopping cart, that data is going to show up down here. So it can be important to know if you're using different kinds of links, which ones are actually performing well for you. Because if you're looking at it on a product by product basis, you might say, okay, this product is working well, when in fact, if you're promoting it using a couple different kinds of links, it might only be working good under one of those types of links. So it's good to know this additional information to be able to make proper adjustments to what it is that you're promoting and how you're promoting it. Your ultimate goal here, though, should be to identify specific products from your website that are performing well or are not performing well, to then be able to add or remove products from your particular page. Now here's the page for my IKEA products. This is my most popular page on this particular website here. You can see where my ads are, the fact that I have 6 of them down here. And I can again relate this information back to what Amazon is telling me. So I can see here that of the My Saran comforters that I'm promoting, the full queen size, warmth rate 2 and 4, and also the king of warmth rate 2. These look to be, and the warmth rate 4 here of the king as well. It's just titled a little different. Those look to be the 4 that are converting the best. So that's actually this one, and this one, and this one, and this one. Well, the ones that are not converting for me is this one right here, and this one right here, the twin size. One of these is actually not even currently available, or it's out of stock, at least on Amazon. So it's almost impossible to refer a sale on it currently. With that knowledge that I've gotten from looking at my Amazon data, I can come back into this page and make a pretty quick adjustment that should see some fairly long-term results for my earnings. If I just wipe out this ad and this ad right here, then the 4 that are actually selling are going to be focused on more. I'm not going to lose 200 clicks out to these 2 ads anymore. Instead, those people will likely end up going through one of these ads that is actually converting for me. So you can see how being able to analyze your traffic data to get it to the right place on your website, and then being able to analyze your Amazon data to ensure that you're effectively using that traffic the best way that you can. You can see how this kind of stuff can end up having pretty substantial effects on your overall site performance. Now, as far as making these changes, I want to talk about site maintenance now to kind of focus on when you should be making these changes, how to go about making the changes, and even when you should just completely ignore some of this data that you're seeing. Now, with my site here, my Down Comforter site that I've been going back through and reviewing traffic and data for today for you guys, I want to make a couple of smart changes to my site to help boost my search rankings and or to help boost my sales. This could involve adding new content to your existing pages. It could involve rearranging or even changing the advertising on your pages. Or it could involve adding new supporting info pages. So I want to go through and briefly talk about each of these. Now, what I mean by a smart update is using the information at your disposal. The information I've gotten off of Google Analytics, the information I've gotten off of my Amazon affiliate account. I want to identify the pages that have the most potential on my site, the products that are performing good, the ones that aren't performing as good. So I then know what to actually change on my website. You should really never revisit one of your old websites and just blindly make changes or content additions to it. You should always have a concrete reason backed up by data to support what kind of change it is that you're wanting to make. If you follow by that rule, you will find yourself making much more effective changes to your sites in the future. So as an example here, on this page, let me get logged into my site real quick. On my IKEA page, the number one change that I want to make here would actually be my advertising. Knowing for a fact that 2 of my 4 advertisements are actually not converting for me is very clear information that tells me I need to make a change there. So I'm simply going to go in to where I have those products being advertised, and I'm simply going to wipe out those first advertisements here. Now I'm using a little bit of special CSS coding to simply help with the spacing of these. So I'm going to make a couple of adjustments to that as well, just to make sure all of this ends up looking right on my final site. So I just make a couple of minor updates like this. You can see how this only took me maybe 30 seconds or something to go in and make these changes. And now I just need to make sure I get my ads lined up correctly and my changes complete now. So very simple, quick, effective change that should have long-term results for me in terms of my actual earnings. Now, as far as adding new content to a page, if I go back and look at my traffic data, if I'm looking at the search terms that are bringing me the most number of impressions, but are not bringing me a lot of clicks, my twin size mattress page, for example, I'm pretty sure this is my, it's not specifically on twin size mattresses. I believe this is my mattress and bedding accessory sizes guide. So this particular page has a lot of potential, but ultimately it's not performing all that great. It's not attracting the people to actually come in off of Google to land on my site. So what I want to look at is the title of my page and also the meta description of my page. So up here at the top, I have mattress and bedding accessory sizes guide. And then for my meta description, if you're in the market for a new bed or just need new accessories for existing bedding, our size guide and dimensions chart can help. This definitely is a little on the plain side. I could certainly try to spice this up a little bit to make it more appealing. I could say something like our bedding and mattress size guide and dimensions chart can help you make an informed decision on which size will, or I can even say style, will work the best for you. Simply making any kind of change to it when you know that it's not performing at all, any kind of a change is often going to be better than no change at all. So again, a really short, quick update that I have just made, just modifying the description of that page. And this again should have some long-term beneficial results for my website as a result. Now, even though I kind of changed or added content there, I wouldn't really consider that to be full-fledged adding content. I didn't actually go in and edit my page and add additional information to it. Certain pages of my site, my Pins on Pyrenees page, I believe was one. Yes, this is my third most popular landing page off of search engines, according to this list. This page, even though I'm not getting a lot of traffic from it currently, I believe there is a strong potential for a lot of traffic from it. It's already showing a decent number of impressions, even though it's not up in the 10,000 plus neighborhood. But the part that I'm really more interested in is my average position here of 29. Knowing that my Pins on page has an average ranking of 29, there's a couple things that I could do to that page to try to increase that search ranking. The easiest one of those things that you can do is simply going to be to add new content to it. Where I can go to my Pins on Pyrenees page here. I'll take a look at what I currently have on the page. Not exactly a ton of content. And then I can go into my actual page content and make some changes to it, or additions to it, more importantly. My total word count for this page is only 473 words. So I can definitely see how I could use some more content here. By simply adding in a couple hundred more words worth of content, pretty much just another subsection on the page, maybe giving some stats for the actual product, something like what I've done here on my IKEA page. You can see down at the bottom, I give just some basic information, dimensions and weights and things of that nature. This kind of stuff is all keyword rich. There's all kinds of things being talked about in here that are either keywords that people search for, or it highly relates to my main topic. Fabric filling material, panel stitching, thread counts, filling weights, all of this kind of stuff relates to my down comforters, my IKEA down comforters. So I can do the same kind of thing here with this Pins on Pyrenees page. Instead of just giving basic textual information about it, I could then go and find out some of the more specific specs of the actual product, list some of this information, maybe even go on with a couple of additional paragraphs worth of text content, and I should be able to bump this average 29 ranking up a little bit higher than what it currently is. Maybe I could get into page 2, or even with enough content added, get some of those rankings up into page 1. You also have to remember your average position here. If it's showing something like 29, you may even have a ranking or two on the first page. This doesn't mean that you don't have any. It just means of all the keywords that this is keeping track of, these are your average rankings. A good comparison is my IKEA page here. I have an average position of 10 on the IKEA page. But when I look at the actual keywords that I'm ranking on, my Saran, for example, I have an average of 3.5. IKEA My Saran, average of 4.2. In fact, on this page here, a large majority of them, everything except for number 1 and number 8 and number 9, all the other keywords on this top 10 listing are all for the IKEA page. And in fact, every single one of them is above number 10. So they're all top 10 Google rankings. Even though over here, it's showing me an average position of 10. So that means I do have some keywords that are ranking worse than those. But obviously, I have plenty that are doing better. So the goal is not necessarily to get an entire page for all of the keywords, the average position. You don't necessarily have to get this up to 10 or higher, or lower, I should say. You simply want to make improvements to it. Look at the ones that are showing the most amount of traffic potential and have the highest positions, and target those pages to make content additions to help and improve those rankings. Now, another part of this is adding new supporting info pages. What I mean by that is the informational articles that you have. Add some more of these articles. And if you remember how last week we discussed funneling your traffic from your info pages to your product pages, that is essentially what you want to do. You build more info pages, you funnel that traffic into this product page, and make sure you're doing this with relevant keywords. So down at the bottom of a new info page that you create, you might have a sentence kind of like this one here, ready to get your own Pins on Pyrenees. You turn this into a link that points back to the page that you're trying to boost the rankings of. By building out more info pages on your site and linking those pages specifically to one of your product pages that you want to increase the rankings for, you will find that that average position increases by doing that. So adjust the content that's already there, change your title, your meta description. If you're not getting a lot of clicks off of your impressions, but if you need to bump your average position, either add more content to the page itself and or build more info pages on your site and link them up to this page using keyword-rich anchor text. Doing this kind of stuff you're focusing the work still on your own website. But again, you're not doing it blindly. I'm not going through and creating new info pages for all of my different product pages on this site. I would just do it for this one to try to boost the rankings of this one in the search rankings. So that's all about making smart updates and smart changes to your site. And this leads me to my next point, which is site marketing. Now, I don't have a major focus on marketing my websites. However, I still wanted to at least briefly talk to you about marketing to help you decide when you should actually do it, whether it's going to be worth your time or not on a particular site. So number one, when should you actually do marketing? In my opinion, I prefer to put forth my work and effort into building up the content of my website. The way that I teach you guys to target keyword phrases and niches and to build these websites, you do not have to have a single backlink out there on the entire internet to be able to get search rankings. In fact, a lot of times when people think that backlinks from other websites are going to make or break their search rankings, they end up doing something that's counterproductive, which is to go out there and start spamming links. And those are not helpful. They may have been years ago. People used to be able to go out and spam 10,000 links to a new website of theirs, and bam, they would be up in the top of search rankings. Well, guess what? You do that today, and you'll disappear from the search rankings forever. So not only is my approach something that focuses the work on your own site, which ultimately is where your traffic and your earnings are going to come from, but this is also geared towards helping you to avoid making permanent mistakes with a search engine. Because unfortunately, once you do something on one of your websites that Google doesn't like, if they penalize you for it, it's extremely hard to get that kind of stuff reversed, if not completely impossible for some websites. So I recommend trying to go about this the smart way from the get-go. Focus on your content on your site itself. The content will speak for itself if you put enough of it up there and you're talking about the right information. However, if you find that after you have search rankings, and maybe you've gotten those search rankings you were trying to get, you have your page in the top 10 of Google, but maybe you're just not getting quite enough traffic to your site. Maybe it's not earning enough for you as much as you had hoped it would make. Those can be some good situations where, especially if you know for beyond a shadow of a doubt that your traffic is converting into sales. You have awesome conversion rates over on Amazon, but you just don't have a lot of traffic to work with. You might want to then turn to marketing to help to drive some highly targeted traffic to your website. But this can be traffic outside of Google. And the number one objective here is not to increase your search rankings with this extra site marketing. The point is to bring in extra traffic to your site from sources other than search engines. Now you have the obvious stuff, social media, that everybody will try to push these days. A lot of big name marketers will go after social media kind of stuff. It can be useful for these Amazon sites, but it takes a lot of ongoing work and time, something that is generally not beneficial to do with these Amazon sites. So with that said, I really would recommend to focus more on 3 different tactics, or even you don't have to do them all. You could simply pick one of these, whichever ones you feel like would work out the best for the niche that you're going after and for your own personal style. One of these is to make helpful forum posts with a signature link. That's really important. You need a forum that will allow you to put a link to your own website in the signature of any post that you make, to the point where it's automatically added in. If you're familiar with like the Warrior Forum, for example, where I kind of originated from, they allow signature links in your forum post. Well, you would not want to be going to the Warrior Forum for this, though. You would want to go out and find a forum that relates to what your website is about. So for my solid state drive website, I would want to find a forum relating to computers in some way, form, or fashion. Sure, if I could find something specifically about computer hardware or about solid state drives, if there was an entire forum dedicated to that, that would be awesome. If I can't find that specific of a forum, though, I can backtrack and get a little more general with my topic and try to find a forum relating to that. So if I can't find solid state drives, I might back up to computer hardware. If I can't find that, I might back up again to just computers in general. You want something as specific as possible, though. However, the more general you get, chances are the more traffic there could be the potential for. You still want to be somewhere within the region of what your niche is about, though, or else the traffic on that forum's not going to be interested in what it is that you're doing. So as an example, using my solid state drive site that I've been building throughout this course, if I could find a forum having to do with computer hardware upgrades, as an example, that would allow me to make posts and to have a signature link at the bottom of those posts, I would then go on that forum and help people. Look for people that are answering questions or asking questions and answer them. Be helpful. Give them free advice and information. Do not try to direct anybody to your website, though. Your signature link in your forum post is what that exists for. You make no reference whatsoever to that signature link. Don't say, oh, go check out the link in my signature to get more information or something like that. Just help people. Give them helpful information and have that signature link speak for itself. People will follow it when they see that you are knowledgeable about the subject that your website is about. So if my signature link was talking about solid state drives, how to choose the best one for different kinds of situations, there's all kinds of different links that I could use there in my signature that would be appealing for people to click on, and I would not have to force people to do that. They will do it on their own accord and go and check out that information when they see that I have been friendly and helpful and full of knowledge about this subject. Now, in addition to that, you can also do something that's kind of along the same lines, but with videos instead. Making helpful YouTube videos. This is certainly not going to be for everyone. There are lots of people who don't like making videos. They're not comfortable recording their own voice. They don't like being on camera, whatever the case may be. No matter what your objections might be to creating a video, there are usually ways to get around it as long as you're still willing to at least record your voice onto the video. Those are going to be the best videos, the one where people can actually hear you speaking about the subject. However, in my opinion, the best YouTube videos that you can make for these products are really going to be more helpful tutorial types of videos. Think about the different informational topics that you targeted on your website. On my solid state drive site, this was things like these pages down in here, talking about slow boot times for Windows, making your computer faster for gaming, how solid state drives relate to video editing, things of that nature. When you can make a video that is then targeting those different kinds of topics, you not only have a perfect place to put that video on your website, but you know that people are going to be looking for information. You might even be able to get that video ranking on Google for the keyword phrase that you're targeting in your informational content here. This kind of thing can be really helpful to attract traffic to your site. And this traffic is going to be highly targeted traffic as long as you're targeting the right kinds of keyword phrases. You don't really want to put a lot of effort and time into targeting what I would consider to be aftermarket keywords, where if somebody bought the product and then they wanted to learn how to do something with that product, that's something I kind of consider to be aftermarket keywords. You want the keywords that people are going to look for before they buy a product and not after they buy the product. Because if you have a video out there that's teaching them how to use the product that they just bought, you really stand no chance of earning a commission for it. So think about that before you put work and effort into doing something like this. And ask yourself whether somebody watching your video has not yet bought the product or whether they already bought it. You need to make sure you're on the right end of that, or you should just completely avoid the video. No amount of traffic is worth it when that traffic is already going to own what it is that you're promoting. Now, there are a lot of ways you can go about making these YouTube videos. You don't have to get expensive cameras. You don't need green screening or anything special like that. You can just use something as simple as your smartphone and simply shoot a video of you using this product or using it in a particular manner, something that relates to what your subject is about. As an example, for the Windows slow boot keyword, I could actually shoot a video of my computer booting up with a normal hard drive. And I could have that split screened maybe, or just show two different parts of the video, one after the next, of like a comparison, where then after I have my solid state drive installed, what the difference is, so people can actually see that in person. This would attract people that are having issues with Windows booting up slow, people that do want to do something about that problem. And so this would be something that I'm targeting before they buy the product, and then I get them to move on to my website and actually talk them into buying a specific product that's going to help them to solve that situation. So you can see how you can apply this kind of stuff to pretty much anything that you do. And again, you don't need complicated software or expensive camera hardware to actually be able to accomplish this. Now, some people ask whether or not it's actually worthwhile to buy a product to then make a YouTube video with it. It can be worthwhile if you have enough exposure for those videos or enough of an audience. However, for the average brand new Amazon niche website, you're not going to have an audience already. That's the audience that you're wanting to build. And sometimes the videos can help you build that audience. But I really don't recommend just outright buying a product to use for no other purpose than just to create a YouTube video. However, there can be some exceptions to that where it could be useful. If you already own the product yourself, if this was a niche that you had a lot of personal interest in and you have a lot of knowledge about it and you already own some of the products in the niche, use your own products and make some videos with them. In this example, you're not buying the product to make your video. So you're not dependent on referring enough sales to recuperate your cost for that product. And in fact, if you do this right, you can actually even write off the cost of things like those products as a tax deduction. You can also apply this to holidays, special occasions. I have children. I have 3 kids. For every Christmas Eve for the last now 13 years, I spend half the night on Christmas Eve putting together various toys. I already was going to buy these toys for my kids regardless. So why not shoot a video while I'm sitting there putting the thing together? Why not teach people about the product and then try to get some sales off of that product as a result? So you can take products that you already own or products that you're already going to buy for some other purpose, and you can do videos for those. They can be product review videos, or they can be more helpful info type of videos. Something like this, where I would use the solid state drive and demonstrate to people how it actually helps me overcome slow boot times on Windows. Very, very specific types of helpful videos. I could also do a tactic that I believe I briefly mentioned in last week's class or the week before, doing content exchanges with relational websites. If I could find another site out there that was all about solid state drives or maybe all about computer hardware, I might be able to say, hey, could I write an in-depth article for your website and have a link back to my website at the end of that article? Just, essentially attributing the article to me as being the author, giving me a little bit of link love as a result. There are a lot of websites out there that will do this kind of stuff to get free content for their own websites. And you can also do it the other way around, where you get free content for your own website by partnering up with some of these relational websites. Either way, it can be helpful, even though it is definitely one of the more time-consuming tactics, trying to set up deals like that, trying to find the relational sites. But if you have it geared towards a specific purpose, for example, to give people free content for their own site, a unique article that you write just for a specific site that you set up this kind of a deal with, for the sole reason of getting a link back to your own website. This is really the one marketing tactic here, at least that I'm discussing today, that can benefit your search engine rankings. If you're positive that those links that you would get back from those other websites, that they would be, in fact, do follow links to the point where a search engine can index that link back to your site, then you can get some decent search engine benefits from doing that kind of thing. So you would not only have the potential for getting traffic from the site that you're giving that content to, but then you would also be likely boosting your own search rankings for your site in the process. So it can help to bring in traffic from two different sources from doing that one. Now, the final thing that I want to talk about today is ongoing site building. This might already be fairly self-explanatory, and to a certain extent, I've kind of been talking about this stuff throughout the course of today's class, where you don't want to put too much effort into one single website. If you do, you can easily go through 6 months or a year's worth of time, and that's the only website property that you actually create in that time period. Whereas if you finish building a site and essentially ignore it for a little while and just move on to building the next website, then revisit your sites later. Wait 2 or 3 months at the very least from the time when you finish construction on a website to the point where you actually revisit that website to see how it's doing. That is when you would then want to go back through the training that I've been teaching you guys today, where you analyze your traffic, you analyze your sales data to make smart adjustments to your website. Otherwise, if you only had one website, and as soon as you finished building it, you then go out and start looking at your traffic and your sales data and start trying to make changes to your website as a result of that information, you really never get a clear picture of what's going on. And in fact, you can just sit there and kind of spin your wheels forever on that website while never really making it much better than it was to begin with. So my whole approach with avoiding the focus on a single website, continuing on to build more websites, and then revisiting each of your sites periodically is meant to help keep your work moving and also to where you can actually make these smart decisions on a site because you'll have enough information to look back upon. This is something that took me years to get past when I first started building affiliate websites. My very first website that I ever built that ever made me $1 online, it was the only site that I owned for at least 2 years. I didn't focus on anything else but that one site. Every day was about, what's this site doing? What's traffic doing on it today? What can I do to make it better? And ultimately, not really much of anything that I did made it much better. I just probably wasted years worth of time on that site. Whereas I could have just set that site to the side. It would have continued to perform for me just as it had been doing. And I could have moved on to my next site. And in fact, during that couple of years, I could have built dozens of websites instead of just spinning my wheels on a single one of them. So this is something that I wanted to make sure to be clear to all of you about. If you found in the past that maybe you build one site and you find it hard to put it down or to not keep doing stuff to it, give this a shot. Set it aside for just a couple of months if you can manage before you go back and you analyze the traffic and the sales and then figure out what changes you can make to your site that are going to be effective. Make those changes and then get out of the site again. Move on to other things. Revisit it again a couple months down the road to see how those changes have taken effect. It's important to understand that the changes that you're making to your website especially when you're trying to get search engine traffic. Those changes do not take instant effect on a search engine. Even if you make an update to your page and Google indexes those changes, you still cannot trust that they automatically make all adjustments to your search ranking for those changes. And the Google algorithm, I can't claim to know it, but I do know some of the inner workings of it based on my own personal experiences over the years. And I can tell you that website changes do not go into effect immediately. Boosts to your search rankings are a lot more likely to happen gradually than they are all at once. And so because of this, you can't make a change on your website one day and go back the next day or even a week later and look at data and trust any of that information to tell you whether or not you did a good job. The only time that I would really trust data immediately could potentially be your Amazon data. But again, remember how when I was going through my own Amazon stats earlier, how I advised you to look at more than just a month worth of a time period there. Because certain pages of your site may not be popular enough to deliver enough traffic or clicks to an ad during a single month's time period. So to get a really clear picture of what's going on with them, you again need to be looking at a larger span of time there. With your own sites, try to do as much of this as you possibly can in terms of finishing your site, ignore it for a while, move on to build another site before you go back and revisit it. At the very least, you will end up with many, many more times of the websites as you would have had by putting a lot of focus on one at a time until that one is actually successful before you moved on to create another one. This helps you to kind of go through more of a churn and burn mentality, I guess, with building these sites. And long term, this is really how you build up a substantial monthly income as an Amazon affiliate, and you also get it to be a fairly reliable monthly income when you diversify yourself over a bunch of different websites instead of just depending on one site to refer sales for you. As an example, my Down Comforter site that I have, it does really well. It's referred 100-something sales over the last year. However, it's a seasonal website. It does not perform as well during the summer as it does during the colder months of the year. But when you have 20 or 50 or even 100 Amazon websites, those seasonal tendencies are nowhere near as noticeable anymore, because then you have some sites that are performing really well during the summer, and you have some other sites that are performing really well during the winter, and it kind of ends up balancing out to give you a fairly stable monthly income. And then you kind of get a little bit of a nice bonus come the holidays. Months like October and November are going to be your heaviest months throughout the entire year for your sales, simply because of the holiday shopping season. Now that actually concludes the Azon 30-day challenge. I hope all of you guys have taken something helpful away from my training and are going to be able to proceed on from here and build complete Amazon sites that actually succeed for you. However, I do want to offer one last opportunity here to ask me any questions that you would like having to do with the training in the Azon 30-day challenge, especially anything having to do with maintenance and marketing. But seeing as how this is the final Q&A, I will certainly be happy to answer questions having to do with anything from this entire series. Cher is asking a good question here. She said, I'm just starting my course, and she was wondering, if this had been asked before or not, but could you basically build smaller websites, less pages and less time into each site for a similar effect? Thinking about building quick sites for Christmas as an example. There are potential ways that you could do that, Cher. Building a smaller website where it wasn't a 20-page full-blown website like what I teach you guys to build here. Some people do prefer to actually focus on building mini sites. Some people actually do websites that are just a single page where it's nothing but the actual homepage of that website. And it's not that there's really anything wrong with building a smaller type of a site like that, or even a single page website. It's really about whether or not you can get traffic to it, or how you're going to go about getting traffic to the site. If you can't get the site to rank in a search engine, then you're going to have to drive traffic to it in other ways. Some people will set up a one-page site that is nothing more than a page that's promoting one specific product. And they might then drive traffic to that page from other marketing avenues, social media, videos that they create, things of that nature. However, it is still possible to build, for example, a one-page website and to still get search engine rankings on that one page. However, you're going to kind of be limited in the ones that will work successfully like that. Basically, if you have a one-page website and that site is, and that page is all about a specific product, your keyword selections that you can rank for are going to kind of be limited with that type of a page. So you might only be able to get decent traffic for keywords that relate to the product name, the brand name, the model number, and things of that nature. If you can be among the first people out there to put out that kind of a website, it actually works out really great. Some of you may know of Gaz Cooper, fellow Amazon affiliate. I've got to meet him in person a couple times before at some marketing conferences, and he actually has an approach very similar to that. He builds just one-page websites that's just promoting a specific product. The reason why he succeeds doing it that way is because he is, again, among the first people to actually get a page up about that product. Now, how he goes about getting that information, knowing about a product before anybody else, or at least before the average masses of Amazon affiliates know about the product, he'll go to conventions. They have all kinds of these, internationally even. Pretty much no matter where you live, you could probably find something like this to go to within a few hours drive of you. A large convention having to do with a specific industry where new products will likely be unveiled. E3 is a great example. Major electronics convention. You go to that thing every year, you will see products there being unveiled that nobody knows about yet. So if you go around to all the different booths and you simply bring a notepad with you. Ask people as much information as you possibly can about these new products of theirs. Get the names, get the model numbers, get specs for the products. If you can, even get pictures for them and things of that nature. You can then build up a one-page website about that product, targeting the name of the product or the model name or the model number of the product as your primary keyword phrase. And you can actually have that site ranked in the top 10 of Google before the product is even available for sale. And then when it becomes available for sale on Amazon, you slap an ad onto that page. That's essentially the main approach that Gaz has used for many years. So it's not necessarily that one approach would work better than the other. It's really about the kind of information you have access to, when you have access to that information, and again, the amount of work that you might want to put into it. So you can build quick sites like you were asking, but my biggest recommendation there, and I guess the whole point of that entire story with Gaz, is that what you would be targeting as keywords on that one page or on that small website, you would want to make sure there's super, super low competition for those keyword phrases. So when Gaz is entering into the market with one of those websites targeting a model number, for example, that model number would have really, really low competition at the time because not many people even know about the product yet. You could still get away with doing something like that on a small scale with smaller websites where you didn't have that pre-launch kind of information about a product, but you would just have to be really, really careful about which keywords you were targeting and which products you were promoting. You wouldn't necessarily be able to just target anything using that kind of approach if you don't have some of that special information to go off of. That's also a good question, Cher. She was asking about, would a fast one-page site be appropriate just for a Web 2.0 or a free site? I assume you're meaning using like one of the free blogging platforms out there to where you don't have to even get your own domain name, to where you could just use, for example, WordPress.com and have your own one-page site set up there. A lot of times, if that is what you're asking, a lot of times I would be a little more inclined to say that that kind of approach can be more successful for a small, even a one-page website that needed to get up in the rankings fairly quickly. When you're building a website or a web page off of a domain that's really well known, that's been around for a long time, something where other people are already building on that, like WordPress.com. There's a whole bunch of other sites like that. Blogger, for example, no longer exists, but older sites like Squidoo, the same kind of concept there for any of those kind of pages. You kind of get to piggyback off of the domain, the authority of that domain, the age of that domain, to give you a better shot of getting higher up into the rankings in a shorter time period. If you were under a major time crunch, if you needed these rankings, in a week or two or something like that, and you were targeting a really low competition keyword phrase, I would be inclined to say maybe go with one of those free sites. However, there's kind of a drawback to it as well. You're limited in what you can do on those free websites. For example, on WordPress.com, you wouldn't actually end up having control over the software that you have installed on the site. They actually control the things like the plugins that you get to use. And so you're kind of limited in that regard. You may not be able to put your Amazon ads as normal on there. You might have to maybe share your commissions with them, possibly. I don't use WordPress.com personally. I set up a site there once upon a time, but I don't do anything with that anymore these days. I run everything off of my own domain names. However, if you can build it on one of those Web 2.0 properties and not have to share your commissions and still be able to, promote the Amazon product that you want to, it could be okay to use that approach for the one-page fast website if you were just targeting individual products, for example, for the upcoming Christmas season. But again, go after super low competition stuff there to have the best shot at that. And simply be aware of the drawbacks that may come along. You're quite welcome. I'm glad that those explanations were helpful.